This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. We're not live today, so don't text us. I know, I'm embarrassed to tell you, but, you know, one has to be upfront about these things. However, you can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. We might well be putting stuff out on there to draw you in. And you can email us, of course, via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. And if we don't do them today, we'll do them another time, maybe.
I love that you were so honest about that. It took open courage.
Well, I'm generally disapproving of DJs pre-recording.
Yes.
Get out of bed. You've got a lovely job that a lot of people would kill for. Get in there and do it. That's my view. But obviously, I'm not referring to anyone at Absolute Radio. I don't want to make myself some sort of local beast.
Too late for that, dear.
Speaking of beasts, the man who drove me in this morning...
No,
no, I don't mean him. You know, sometimes if you get talking to a driver, you get a bit of a backstory.
Yeah.
In other words, like what I'm driving now, but I used to, and then you get that. And this was a guy who worked for BA on the cargo side of things.
Oh, I'd be fascinated by that.
So my first question, I was once on an American Airlines flight, internal flight, small plane, about 40 minutes. And for the whole flight, there was a dog barking from the hold.
Yeah.
And I said to him, people were getting genuinely concerned for this dog. It was really going for it. And he said, oh, yeah, somebody must have left the door open. He said, there's a door.
Very technical reply.
Yeah. He said, there's a door in the cockpit that goes down into the hold. He said, you can't access it from the passenger area.
Oh, like I was sort of Batman.
So I said, so is it a normal thing transporting animals? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I've done lions, tigers. I said, okay. And there's a door, you say, from the hold into the cockpit. And he said, no, they knock them out. He said,
the pilots.
No, he said, he said the lions and the tigers, he said, they knock them out. They wouldn't let them travel. I said, what about when they travel long distance? He said, just give them a bit more.
Yeah.
And
let's hope there are never any mistakes made on that job.
No, exactly, especially if they find the door to the cockpit.
It'd be quite an astonishing thing to see a plane hijacked by a lion.
Well, if there was a plane, God forbid, a plane went down, if the black box showed that a lion had attacked the pilot, you'd be surprised at that outcome.
But they'd be just as calm, I think. Gentlemen, that's just King of the Jungle's made his way up to the front here. And
we're about to land a little bit earlier than I anticipated.
You're right, the lion does have the energy of a pilot, whereas what would you fear most if you were a pilot?
Chimp.
Sitting in that car. Oh, I'd quite like a chimp.
No,
I don't know.
I think a Komodo dragon would worry me.
Because judging by us, as I was saying on the last show, it might be that the chimp could actually make an announcement if it decided to break its eternal silence to the human beings.
Of course, yeah.
The one that I think would struggle the most would be the grizzly, because they have a lot of junk in the trunk. He wouldn't be able to sit on the chair, on the pilot's chair.
Well, they're in. No one is down there, he was telling me. So there's no. They don't travel with keepers or anything like that.
No, they're just conked out in some sort of. Imagine the size of the carrier case for a lion.
Yeah.
Huge.
Was it sort of animal green room down there?
Backstage.
Having a cigarette.
Recording a podcast.
But you imagine those, you know, when you see the luggage people look a bit indifferent to your suitcase, you can imagine the lion like pushed in so the bars are facing the wall.
Imagine the lion coming out on the conveyor belt. Who's is that?
Casually reclining.
As long as it's in its case, I'd love to see that. I'll say in its case, as if it's one of those constructed rifles that you see assassins take out in films.
Clipping on the claw.
So you open a suitcase, there's a lion-shaped indentation that it fits into perfectly.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is still Frank Skinner.
Yes.
In case you're
Frank,
wondering.
John Skeldon has been in touch.
Not John Skelton, the poet laureate of Henry VIII.
No.
Okay.
If it is John Skelton, hi. John Skeldon says, I hope you enjoyed Kiss last night in Birmingham. Your son sounded like he did. I was the chap in front. My missus shook your hand. And we had someone else get in touch, Pierre, didn't we?
Yeah, Jamie got in touch and said, hope you enjoyed Kiss last night. I was there with my nephew and we spotted you and decided against coming for the selfie.
Right.
I love that film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nephew asked why, and I said, Sam, there are many situations in which you may be successful in getting a selfie with a well-known person, and the queue for the toilets is not one of them.
I love Jamie.
I would have happily done a queue for the toilet selfie. It's fine by me.
Kiss in Birmingham, eh?
Yes. So what I did...
What a father.
Yeah. I picked my son up from school, 4:00, and off we went, M1. And, Kiss.
I mean, you really are. That's such a fabulous dad thing. I love that. M1.
Yeah, exactly.
He's telling us the road.
It was. The last time I saw Kiss, the only previous time I saw them, was also in Birmingham at the Odeon in 1976. So my expanse of Kiss watching is quite...
Had the fashions changed?
Not much for Kiss, to be honest. Kiss are eternal in many ways. This is, officially, really, really the last tour. That's the idea.
Oh, they always say that.
But they're very consistent look-wise. No surprises for the Kiss makeup lady.
No, exactly. They've
Can you imagine if she turned up, same as every year? No, we're thinking of doing something.
She's doing smiley faces this time.
Well, the theory is they do their own.
Ah.
I wish I loved that. I love the old theatrical in the mirror in the hairnet. It reminds me of that William Hartnell interview when he was in Panto and the guy said, "Is this what you're looking for now?" And he said, "Well, no, not front of cloth." He said, "I'm a legit actor." I mean, I love it. No, I'm told they do their own.
Wow.
That's the word on the street.
And what do they wear, Frank? Is it a sort of jump pantsuit?
They wear, I would say,
it's sort of
space armour.
Yeah, it's armoury, isn't it?
Is
There's knee
it?
pads and elbow pads.
So there's like black tights underneath. There's enormous 8-inch
Oh, dear.
platforms.
Okay.
But they are, well, in some cases, clawed. Rather than just, they have actual claws, silver claws on them.
Really?
Yeah.
And then their makeup, they each have their own specific makeup. So there's the demon and the star child, and of course the cat.
The cat.
The drummer is a cat with whiskers drawn off.
Yeah, that's the left field one of the four.
That's the short straw.
Yeah.
Why is he a cat? I don't understand the narrative.
There is no narrative.
Oh, okay.
He just is the cat. But he's been the cat since 76. Well, it's not actually wasn't him then. If a new drummer comes in, they just adopt the same makeup. I mean, it's a great...
How far does he
plan.
have to take the cat persona? Is he allowed to use normal toilets?
No, he doesn't bury his own excrement.
He doesn't have a litter tray.
No. He's got green eyes in the makeup thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would describe the clothes as sort of glam rock space warriors.
Yeah, that's reasonable. They're very much like comic book characters.
Yes.
And in fact, they are also comic book. And when they first brought out a comic book in America, they had a big moment when they all went and gave a pint of blood and it was poured into the ink vat so that their actual blood would be in the cup.
That's cool. That's metal.
What Kiss are not low on is self-publicity ideas.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So yeah, they've aged well. Is my point with Kiss, is that they could carry on forever, and they look pretty much like they did in '76.
It's another advantage of the heavy makeup.
It's perfect.
Tell me about it, dear.
I mean, the man in the
But wait till I've left the room.
but the man in the Iron Mask could carry on working into his 80s.
That's true.
Yeah, who would know?
It's the reverse of Andy Warhol getting his sort of grey hair so people couldn't be contemptuous of his youth.
Well, that was where the Phantom was so clever, I felt.
Oh, the Phantom.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, the Phantom is... I'm actually wearing a Phantom T-shirt today. But the Phantom was a comic book hero whose dad was the Phantom and whose granddad was the Phantom. And the locals... in those days, but it being assumed they weren't as clever as the Phantom, assumed that he lived forever.
Oh, of course, right.
The problem with the man in the Iron Mask working forever, of course, is there's going to be a bit of a gap on his CV.
Yes.
Where the guy says, hold on, there's 20 years. Well, yes, I was in the Bastille. That's not going to help, is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's what everyone says.
So he's finished. But I have to say, they were amazing.
Did they have any support?
Yes. They had.
I don't mean Zimmer Frank.
They had. They're only in their early 70s.
Yeah.
Skindred was the. I didn't see the first support act because I was driving. We were at the merch.
Of
One
course.
thing that is big, any Kiss thing, they leave no capitalist stone unturned. So I bought my son a T-shirt, 45 quid.
Oh.
The programme was 35. I know.
You could have got Gucci for that, huh?
I know. It's but that's Kiss. That's how they do it. It's interesting because when I saw him in '76, I bought a Kiss badge, and I don't remember how much it cost, but I remember it looked. The more I looked at it, the more I could see the lines of what we used to call a felt pen, or you'd now call a Sharpie, in the design. And I noticed that there was something. It was slightly raised from the badge, so I peeled it, and it peeled, and underneath it said Manchester United Kings of Europe. So someone had just drawn some Kiss logos and put them on old badges.
Oh, that's disappointing.
But that's changed. That has. Yes. Anyway, the support act I saw was Skindred.
Oh, so they've done a play on Kindred, is what they've done.
They have. But with
It's quite
skin.
clever, and they've got skin. There's all
My
sorts
family
going on.
could call themselves Skindred.
Yes.
But Skindred are famous for a phenomenon known as the Newport helicopter.
Oh, right.
Oh, do tell.
And the way when I first heard I saw an interview with the singer, and he spoke of the Newport helicopter as if it was an elaborate ritual which takes place at their gigs. And I thought, I'm looking forward to this. What you actually do is you take your shirt off and wave it above your head, like a helicopter blade.
Wow.
But it looks great when there's thousands of people.
I believe
it.
Duncan Ferguson, I saw him do that once at Goodison Park.
Well, of course, they are. The lead singer is Welsh in Skindred, and Ryan Giggs did it as a famous celebration. But
Used to be
before
very
it was the
big.
Newport helicopter.
Oh, right. I really, the phrase Newport helicopter to me implies pyro or winching or...
Pyro as in...
Well, just it sounds like an astonishing stagecraft,
Yes.
as opposed to just,
No, it's that. It got me thinking about gig... We'll come back to this, but gig rituals, things that people do at gigs. I'll give you an example. If I saw a gig in the 70s, 15 or 20 minutes before the gig, people would start going, Wally! Wally! And that would continue right up to when the band came on. Different times.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
You were talking, Frank, about the sort of rituals one sees at gigs. Do you like one sees at gigs?
Yes. So shouting Wally, the Newport helicopter.
Yeah.
Obviously, at rock gigs, there was a bit where I think it was Gene Simmons, the bass player of Kiss, who said, "Let me see your horns." It could have been the lead singer. Anyway, let me see your horns, and then you hold up that hand, that rock hand with 2 central fingers folded and the 2 outer fingers erect.
Yes.
To celebrate, I think, the horns of the devil.
Yes. And his
But let's not. Celebrate maybe is the right word.
You see,
his
obviously,
patronage, his generous patronage of the arts.
is he a sponsor? He's taken over from Live Nation.
I mean, I don't think it was Gene Simmons who made that call, but the reason
Is it Ozzy?
The reason it would have come on
I
Monday
did.
night, but the reason I would have thought it was him is that Gene Simmons once did that thing. And Gareth Bale tried something similar once, the footballer. He tried to patent the horns,
Right.
which, of course, it's another capitalist stone, which Gene saw. But people didn't like him doing that.
No.
Gareth Bale used to celebrate by making the shape of a heart with his fingers and thumbs. You know, that thing that people do.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he
yes.
tried to copyright that.
Really? He would have been sued immediately by all the 14-year-olds on MySpace.
Would he? Well,
That's a very common sort of teen thing to do. It was.
Yeah, unless it was Whitby weekend, they'd all be up there.
Yeah, the goths.
You see, it used to be the lighter in the air. You'll be too young to remember this, Pierre, the lighter in the air days, but now it's the mobile phone. Frank.
Yeah, we did a bit of mobile
Did
phone.
you?
Yeah, because the
iPhone camera.
cat gets his own song when he sits at the tiny silver piano.
A tiny silver water bowl.
A tiny piano comes out of the stage.
Right.
Does he wear a cat suit then? Does he have a tail and things?
He doesn't have a tail, no, but he has.
Not much of a cat. if
So
you
he
ask
has
me.
whiskers. Well, you know, he's obviously there's a human element.
He's a Manx
to him.
cat.
Yeah, he could be a Manx cat. Anyway, he does a song called Beth.
Oh.
And it's just a soft, you know, when they do a soft song, rock bands.
Do
Beth,
you
I
know,
hear you calling.
that is my favourite thing when the rockers do a ballad.
Yeah.
It makes me a bit emotional.
Even Ozzy, you know. I'm going through changes. Then he did it with his daughter.
A song about the menopause doesn't happen often.
Oh, there aren't enough songs about the menopause. I've always thought that.
In terms of gig rituals, can I ask
Heaven's
more?
on Fire is a kiss. That would work. That was a
Yeah?
Kiss song. Sorry.
Can I ask more about the Wally thing?
Yes, people started shouting Wally. There was another one. People would shout Albatross, but that was a reference to a...
Ancient Mariner.
No, yes. Coleridge was
shouting
massive when I first started going to
Kubla
gigs.
Khan.
Yeah.
No, it was a Monty Python sketch with a man sold albatross from one of those trays
Yes.
that people sell ice cream from.
Someone shouting at Albatross.
To be fair, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is an Iron Maiden song. You could heckle them with Albatross.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, my favourite is apparently people, and I've been to a lot of Bob Dylan gigs, but in America, apparently, people used to take harmonicas and play them. Now, that to me...
That's heckling.
I mean, that's intrusive. I like a gig ritual, but that is just intrusive.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Joan Baez. Joan Baez used to go to, she's a famous American folk singer with a very loud voice. She would go
Did she date someone like Leonard Cohen? No, I've got that wrong.
Well, she dated Bob Dylan
Oh,
for a
Bob
long
Dylan,
time.
no, yeah.
But she used to go to gigs and someone would start singing and she'd hit them with a harmony from the stalls.
Oh, God.
I mean, imagine if you got a comic do it. That's the sort of thing I'd do. Shout out alternative punchlines.
Toppers.
Yeah. You get a sort of multiple choice gig.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, did you bring any food to Kiss? Or did you have beverages or...
I had a sandwich in the car for my child for the journey, and various
lunch
other.
to Kiss.
It was exactly, yeah. Bottle of pop, crisps.
Sorry, I've just seen a picture of the cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the cat.
Let's not mock the cat.
No, he'll
I
sulk upstairs.
Listen, I love the cat.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, But he does have the hair in this picture. Does have something of the sort of Dorian from Birds of a Feather about it.
Well, they've all got a bit of that because they've been around. I mean, he wasn't an original member, but he's not a young buck.
He's got a waistcoat with no top under, and I'm a fan of that.
Would a good name for an Oasis tribute band be Oasecoat?
Oh, and they all wear waistcoats.
Yeah, they all wear like fur trim waistcoats with fur hoods.
Is there a Kiss tribute band? And if so, what would they call it?
Well, there's Kiss Kids.
Oh.
Which is, as you can imagine, 12-year-olds who dress up in Kiss makeup. And there's girls in that band as well.
Smooch would be a good name for a Kiss cover band.
Mm.
Peck. Any of the other?
Oh, yeah, I get it. Snog.
There we go.
Yes. I'm there. I've joined you.
We've got a festival lineup here.
Yeah.
All right, Kissing Cousins.
There was
I don't think you gave that enough respect.
Oh, sorry. I was distracted. Can you give it me again for everyone, for all of us who missed it this morning?
I don't know if it's going to stand up to this kind of scrutiny.
Come on.
Frankly, Kissing Cousins.
I liked it.
Thank you, Frank. I knew you'd rehearsed that. But anyway,
I liked it. There's a great deal of when I first saw Kiss in '76. I lost the front bit of my hair because these flames shot from the stage. And they were very, very near the front of the stage. And this was in the days when health and safety was in its infancy, shall we say.
Yeah.
And I really felt the thing of it. And then I've touched my hair and it was brittle and breaking away at the front. Yeah, it was...
Frank.
I know.
No,
and there was a lot of fire on Monday night. I nearly buried my cheese. But that's another story.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, Samuel Pepys buried his cheese during the Great Fire of London because he wanted to protect it.
When he saw it was a big enough fire, yeah.
Oh, you'll like this, but you know my nephew is obsessed with the Great Fire of London. And my son was saying, wouldn't it be good if me and you and Elliot, Elliot's his cousin, if me and you and Elliot did a Ramones tribute, just for the family, did a Ramones tribute gig. And I said, we don't look much like the Ramones. And he said, well, Elliot can wear his Samuel Pepys wig. I thought anyone ever said that at the meeting for a Ramones tribute gig. Has anyone ever said that before?
Now, do any of you have any Samuel Pepys wigs that maybe you could wear? Of course, yeah.
So anyway, this is the bit. Speaking of health and safety, this was the amazing thing. Now, the lead singer, Paul Stanley, right?
Yeah.
There's a bit where
it's not much of a rock star's name. I like.
Well, that's a weird thing because he does a gig, Rick Shaw.
Stanley.
And he says, right, I'm coming now, I'm coming to meet you all, he said, but you're going to have to shout my name. So there's like 10,000 people going, Paul! Paul! And it's just not right.
Like a wife at a garden centre. Paul!
But there's something about the name, Paul, there's just the consonants and everything, it's just not right.
It's quite,
for a big group
it's quite airy
show.
Manager.
Yeah, Paul. I'll be with you in a moment, Martin. Yeah. So you have to shout.
It's like when Steve Brookstein on the X Factor. The winner is Steve.
Yeah, that guy used to do that on the X Factor to go, and now Andrew. And you think, no, that doesn't need that kind of voice. But Paul. Anyway, what happens next is the bit I want to discuss with you after this.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
You've been talking about, you were actually telling
Paul.
us about Kiss, and
Yeah.
we'd got to the point where everyone was shouting Paul Stanley's name. Everyone was shouting Paul.
Paul. So what Paul does, what he's encouraging them to invite him forward. By the way, Paul, I have to say, made a real point of saying Birmingham every time he said it. He didn't say Birmingham or none of that stuff. He's obviously done his research. Anyway, this is where I think the health and safety thing, it's like they did something in 1976 which nobody minded with the fire. And just because they're doing it in 76, no one has questioned them about it. I know it's an example. There are lots of men in the media who put forward a similar argument. But in this case, what happens is that there's a stage right at the back of the auditorium, a small stage, where Paul is going to do a couple of numbers from on his own. So a thing comes down that's just got a metal ring on the bottom, a cable thing, and Paul puts one mighty platform boot on the ring, holds onto the thing, and then just goes the full length of the arena. No clips, harnesses, just a bloke with his foot in the ring holding on.
Oh, dear.
It's kind of over the crowd as well.
A bloke in his 70s.
Yeah, 71, guitar on his back, massive platforms. I'll put a picture up on social media of Paul as he went past us. I caught it like when you get a bird in flight.
Yeah.
So no harness to speak of?
Nothing. I mean, literally.
Oh, my God.
And I think this is why piracy became a more corporate thing, is that kind of thing got outlawed, generally.
Yeah.
Health and safety and stuff. So pirates went a bit,
They've got to sell the T-shirts for those prices to cover the insurance.
I was going to say, do they have insurance?
What did insurance companies say? What
No,
he just puts his foot in the ring and yeah, that's fine, and then goes over the crowd.
Do you think that they say, how is the platform shoe so long that it forms a kind of a brilliant hook?
Maybe the insurance company hear the word platform and think he's on a platform.
Yes.
But there's also a bit where Gene, who's 73, the bass player, where he stands goes about 30 feet into the air above the stage. There's no rail, nothing. Gene's just up there with even bigger platforms on playing his bass.
That name and age together sounds so old ladyish. I couldn't believe the compensation I got for being injured at work. Gene, 73.
Well, I'll say this for Gene, and obviously I do love Kiss, and they were amazing. But Gene there was something that Gene did which you don't often see in public from celebrities.
Yes.
And that was drool. Physically drool.
Are you sure that wasn't the cat?
No. Physically drool till it was dripping off his chin.
Oh.
There's a bit where he put a mic in his mouth and it was pouring off him like bile.
Did you see a sort of stagehand kind of thwipping Werther's originals in there throughout the show?
No, the stagehands were all on with squeegees going around him. Lest it should become dangerous.
Window cleaners.
Frank, I have a question for you. Kiss seemed to be one of the rare examples where the other members of the band, in the case of Gene, they sort of slightly outshine the lead singer. I've heard of Gene, but not Paul Stanley.
No, well, Gene he's the one everyone knows because he eats.
It's the Bez syndrome.
He eats fire. Well, not eats. He blows out fire
and
on stage.
He does the tongue thing, doesn't he? That's him.
He's got a very long tongue. There was a rumour about Gene that he had a cow's tongue grafted onto his own tongue. But I don't think a cow's tongue. My neighbour used to be.
Do you go to a vet or do you go to a surgeon? You decide.
It'd be great if that became a thing, though, for celebrities.
Yeah.
I always had a tongue job, you know. Yeah, so I don't know if they do animal grafts.
Front row, Eric Haaland, drooling as well. If I could just get up there and eat it.
Haaland. Yeah, yeah, so that was the rumour that he'd had cow extensions.
Cow extensions?
But
tongues and eyelashes, I guess.
I don't think it's true. Could one have an animal extension? Is that allowed?
8, 12, 15, don't text.
Could I legally have a pig's tail put on me?
Okay.
Hello? Don't look at me like that. I was expecting an answer. Just staring blankly with your mouth open.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank,
Yes.
oh, sorry, darling.
No, I was only breathing in.
You've been talking about, we've been talking about gigs, specifically the Kiss gig, and you've been showing us pictures.
Mm.
I really like their look.
I've put a picture of Paul in his completely unsafe travelling. I hope I don't. Well, they've only got, this is their last tour apparently, so it's all right. End of the road. I would hate to be the man responsible for Paul having to wear a harness.
Oh, imagine.
Oh man, I'd hate myself.
Getting a shout out from the man himself as runners slowly clip him into this high-vis netting.
I don't want to contain him at this stage.
Well, it's become a slight badge of honour. It's a bit show-offy at these gigs, isn't it? The Tinkerbell harness.
Yeah,
they all do it now.
But I don't. The way that he gets on the flying thing is, I don't think it even occurs to him that there's anything.
It's like the old window cleaners. It's extraordinary.
It's honestly like getting, those buses that used to have no doors on. He just grabbed the hand. He just gets on like that.
Just like an escalator.
Yeah.
Frank, Joe
No,
Wells.
I'm more reticent getting on an escalator than he is getting onto that.
Do you ever get that thing on an escalator? Does everyone get that? What would happen if?
Well,
do you get the fear every time you step on one? I do.
I'm always careful. I don't want to end up on a crack and suddenly I'm half on a step and the step that was supporting my heel is gone.
Yeah.
Stato did a once popular programme. It's still popular.
Still
It's back now. You're right. Yes, fantasy football,
not with you.
No, but still good.
Yeah.
And Stato, who used to work with us on there, who was a football statistician, he's the only guy I know who actually got the sole ripped off his shoe in a...
Oh, no.
But Stato was a man who things happened to.
Was he a bit of a universe victim?
Well, there are some people who things do happen to more than other people, and he was one of those. He was very absent-minded, so he's not a man who'd be thinking, I need to step off now. But I didn't know it could really happen. But it actually ripped the sole right off his shoe. And I remember he came in and we were talking for about 40 minutes before he mentioned it. That's the other amazing. That's, for me... That
wasn't the headline.
For me, I'm polishing up that anecdote on my way to the door. You know what I mean? I've got 4 or 5 fairly surefire punchlines and some stuff I might try, I might not.
You're polishing it up as you limp soulless on one foot.
Yeah, he come in and started talking about some game in the Dutch second division the night before. Then someone might have even brought up there was no bottom on his shoe.
I mean, that should have been front page, then see pages 2, 3, 4, 5,
exactly.
6 and 7. Frank, Joe Wells has...
Can I say this, by the way, just to sum up on the Kiss thing, that I would they are on tour at the moment in the UK and Europe. I'd really recommend seeing them because they might not come again. And there's nothing else quite like seeing Kiss.
Not with that harness activity, they might not come again.
At the end, they put up a big thing that says, Kiss loves you, Birmingham. No punctuation whatsoever. And I thought, it's that freedom, it's that free approach to life that I've met Kiss. Kiss loves you, Birmingham. We're less interested in punctuation. That's what they should have had underneath in brackets.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've been talking this morning about rituals at gigs and specifically your Kiss gig.
Yeah, we started off talking about the Newport helicopter, which is a thing that Skindred get their fans to do, which is take their shirts off and whirl them above their heads, a la Helicopter Blade.
Well, there's a very specific arm action for the Take That song, Never Forget.
Oh.
Obviously, I'm au fait with it. And I was interested to watch at the coronation concert which members of the Royal Box would be doing that.
Did some of them know it?
Sophie did.
Oh, yes, Sophie
did.
Sophie proved to be quite a mover.
She really was.
If you were King Charles and you were into Skinnerd, It would take a lot of unbuttoning to get ready for the helicopter.
Skindred,
sorry, not
Yeah, I
Leonard
don't want to
Skinner.
suggest that King Charles is into Leonard Skinner. There's some,
Sweet Home Alabama.
yeah, some worry about the flag,
But then
the flag usage.
the amount of buttons and medals to get sort of sorted
I
before you
know.
can whirl your
I
tunic.
know. I know.
I just say that
Just
flag usage.
take a footman by the ankle. That's my advice.
The royal shirt. That's the name of that position in the
Is it
household.
really? Fantastic.
Pick up a man called the royal shirt and whirl him around.
Yeah, I'm still loving how much heavy lifting the phrase flag usage was doing. In
Yeah, exactly.
comment about Leonard Skinner.
I thought
We
it was
know what you mean. It was brilliant.
It's what I call a breakfast radio pricey.
Anyway, Joe Wells,
Does it? It should get less emotional. Go on.
please. Joe Wells has sent in his favourite gig ritual.
Okay.
I make sure I'm stood by the sound desk. I also make sure that I tell whoever I'm with that this is the best place to stand, as that is where the sound engineer is hearing the music.
I've heard that theory before, but
Is that like the bloke on the bus, Frank, who tries to be the best friend of the driver?
well, do you remember when I went to that Ed Sheeran gig? And,
I was there.
Oh yeah, you were there, and the sound went, and I looked across at the sound guy and gave him a real. One of those.
No.
I thought it wasn't. It was only Ed Sheeran and a guitar and a loop machine. That was it.
Oh,
And the sound went. I mean, come on.
yeah, that's not a...
Yeah, but I've heard that theory that if the sound man needs to hear, but the sound man's got like headphones and stuff. I don't think it quite works as a theory.
Surely he's more focused on the headphones.
And also, I don't
I've
want
sat
to be.
in that box.
Either I'm watching Kiss or I'm watching an episode of Thunderbirds. I don't want to be sitting looking at buttons and switches and stuff and they're in the background.
And when
Yeah.
you sit in that box, and I have, at the Killers, I sat in that box.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And I had to wear ear defenders anyway.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to hear... It might ruin some surprises, because I don't want to hear a guy in a sort of T-shirt on a swivel chair saying, OK, cue pyro,
Yeah.
OK,
It is a bit
and
like that.
go to... Like, I want it to happen naturally.
No,
as
I agree
an
with
audience member.
that. I agree with that. Yes, otherwise you can bury your cheese before the fire's actually happened.
That's what the cat's doing. He's burying all sorts back there. We don't know what he's getting up to
He
with that
had
litter.
a small spangly shovel.
Does he ever wear a flea collar? A glittery flea collar?
Imagine how many cat jokes he gets.
Oh, he must get sick of it, Frank.
Well, he loves it. He's like the cat that got
God.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, do you remember last week we were talking about Colombo?
Never ask me if I remember anything.
Do you remember we were talking about Colombo?
Yes. I don't know how it came about, but we had a long conversation.
I
Well,
know how
my
it ended.
theory is that he stinks, Colombo.
It's because I wondered whether he had any other clothes. I thought he had a slight Paddington approach.
I think you said to me, does he wear the same coat? And I said, no, he wears the same everything every
Yeah.
show. And he's in California in intense heat.
And he wears suede shoes.
And most people, when they go indoors, they take the raincoat off and he keeps it on.
Yeah.
So we thought perhaps he might have issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Kevin Barnes has got in touch to say Colombo was asked about his private life in an interview. When asked about his mansion in Beverly Hills, his response was simple. I got a 9-bedroom mansion overlooking the ocean. 9 beds, no baths. Don't need them, never use them.
That's what Peter Falk said rather than Colombo.
Yes.
I say those police wages.
Well, it's mainly bribery, of course.
I presume he's referring to Peter Falk.
Yes.
He must be.
Yes.
But I mean, 9 bathrooms, presumably he was saying that was an excessive amount, and I'd be inclined to agree.
Well, because of my love of Colombo, a producer I worked with once got in touch with his agent asking if Peter Falk would sign a photo for me as a gift. And she said, I'll ask him, she said, but, you know, he can be difficult. And I thought, that's what you want your agent to say. And anyway, I got the photo and it was signed in block capitals. And I thought, is that Peter Falk's signature, or is this woman just thought, I'm not asking him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not having a go at me for asking.
It's a bit sus, that.
Yeah, so if
Is he still
anyone
with us,
knows,
Peter Falk?
if anyone out there listening knows, don't text us because we're not live today. But I'd love to know by an email whether Peter Falk signs in block capitals. Perhaps it's the I.
Yeah, it could be the eye.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that a glass eye restricts joined up writing.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Oh
I didn't.
my
It's convincing.
God.
Yeah.
I want to discuss something with you, boys.
Well, that's just as well.
I'll tell you what it is.
Go on.
You don't have a choice whether you want to discuss this or not, because I'm a little obsessed. The professional seagull scarer. Have you
yes.
heard about this?
Yes, up in Whitby.
Oh, well done. His name is Corey Grieveson. He's been hired by a chip shop owner, as you say, Alex of Mr. Chips.
Yes. Now,
Mr. Chips, frequented by James May, the kindly one.
really?
Out of
Oh,
Top
I
Gear.
hate the idea, though, of gravy from the pie dripping onto his floral shirt.
It's Paul Smith's QI special.
Oh, terrible.
He loves a QI shirt. He goes to the QI shop. Who else goes there, Frank?
At the QI shop.
QI shirt shop.
Andy Hamilton?
Yes. Oh, that's a lovely choice.
Yeah.
Frank, have you ever been there? Maybe once or twice.
I think I have,
Yeah.
yeah. Can I ask you, do you think that Alex, who owns Mr. Chips, do you think he named it after the novel, play and film Goodbye Mr. Chips?
Absolutely
featuring
not.
Robert Downey. Or did he name it after Mr. Chips, the perennial figure in catchphrase?
Yes. The sort
It's
of
good, but it's not right.
the sort of hideous.
Which one? Yeah, so he looks like a Weetabix.
Well, I'm afraid
Mr.
I
Chips.
associate him with a viral clip of rather disturbing content.
Oh yes, I remember.
We're all
that
familiar
one.
with
Yeah,
that.
but
obviously.
we've all had those career moments we regret, and that is Mr. Chips.
Why is he called Mr. Chips?
It's never been explained. I think he spent a lot of his youth in Monte Carlo on the roulette wheels.
No, it's the way he's presented to us, as if we accept this. We never agreed to the
No,
Mr. Chips
we
thing.
never asked.
And why so formal?
Yeah, exactly. What's his first name? What do you think, Eric?
Eric Chips.
Oh man.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I tell you, you boys are eating a lot of pastries this morning. So you know what it's like? It's like being with two cops on a stakeout.
Yeah. If only we got polystyrene cups.
Yes, yeah.
And marriage problems.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be perfect.
You always want that one sort of American-style Chinese takeaway box.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the lawyers always as well? When they crack the case, they're always dipping into the box.
See,
Yes.
Columbo, when he dines.
Oh, he's got the short deodorant now.
Just because he doesn't smell quite bad enough for his own taste, he always has chili. Columbo, and he does that thing that I've never seen English people do. He gets those crackers and then crumbles them
Yeah, onto the top.
over the chili.
Texas style. I think his stench is an interrogation technique, and I think he works on it
He
quite
could be.
carefully.
Now, we're talking about the eagle, the
Yeah.
seagull
Yes.
scarer. We got onto the subject. The place he's scaring the seagulls outside of is called Mr. Chips.
The idea is just to briefly that Mr. Chips' boss Alex has a lot of trouble. A lot of his customers, they walk out of the shop with chips and they are bombarded by seagulls,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so. In a strange transaction, he met a local youth and said, "How would you like to dress up in an inflatable eagle outfit and frighten off the
Yeah.
seagulls?"
Up until the bit where he explained it was to frighten seagulls, it was quite a scandalous story.
Well, exactly.
I
like-
googled that costume, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
I was intrigued. This is the kind of thing I do.
Is it commercially available? Or is it
Yes,
something that
it was on Amazon. It was $49.99, and it was listed as funny bird dress up.
Oh, okay. No eagle reference.
Someone, a footballer slid into my DM.
Funny. I was going to say Tarzan seeing a hen do.
What I would say is he spent 50 quid on the costume, Alex from Mr. Chips.
Mm.
It's not. I mean, what I didn't like about the costume was one thing that put me off. There was sort of a ventilating hole in the breast.
It's for the inflation.
I know, but hide it. Put it in the rear or something.
No, but it's for the... I think you'll find that is the wind beneath his wings.
Is he a bald or a golden?
I don't think he was. I said, there's no feathers on the top. He could be a bald. There's no feathers. It's if you're trying to put feathers in an inflatable eagle outfit, you've got a problem.
Yes, just a heads up to any twitchers looking to go to Whitby and add this guy to their book.
Mm. Well, here's the thing. Alex said, I tried putting fake eagles on sticks. He says fake eagles, but I think we all know it was roadkill.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
He said, I tried putting this is an actual quote, so I was impressed by this. I tried putting fake eagles on sticks. They got wise to it, is what he said. And then he said of the seagulls, they knew it wasn't a real bird. They're really clever. Okay, so then you hired a man in an inflatable eagle suit, and that fooled them completely.
Yeah, it's the inverse.
Scale? Do they have no sense of scale?
Do they believe it?
Well, they must think, God, if he's the bird that's got access to the chips, no wonder he's so
Do you know how I would say they're very gullible, Frank?
Bit
of a countdown joke there.
Absolutely excellent. I don't think we're not going to follow that in a rush.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. We're not live today. I know, it's embarrassing. So don't text. You Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the radio. Email via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Choices.
No, regarding gig rituals.
Oh, yes.
E.g. displaying the rock horns. Joe Wells said, stand by the sound desk. And we've got a message in from Paul. Not that Paul.
No.
Not Paul.
Oh my God, Paul!
Paul says, wearing a Frank Turner T-shirt at any gig. Guaranteed to get a comment and meet the best people.
Oh, that's interesting. I sometimes dine at the Wagamama in Cheltenham Town Centre. And a man who serves there has got Frank Turner, often wears the T-shirt, but it's also got Frank Turner tattoos. I'm not familiar with Frank Turner's work, I've got to be
I'm really sorry, but excuse my ignorance.
He's a musician, but it's just one who I've not investigated.
Frank Turner tattoos?
Yeah.
Oh.
And this guy's a very interesting, very nice guy. So it might be that's a good way of spotting nice people.
A bit of filtering.
Some sort of Frank Turner signage.
Equally, would you say there's a band that would almost be a bit of a telltale giveaway that perhaps you wouldn't get on with that person? And could you give that some thought, please?
Matt Lads?
Really?
Well, I know someone who managed the Matt Lads, and he said it was the night where the drummer was hit by a paper towel machine from the toilet that was thrown the full length of the gig.
Gosh, that's a mistrunchable sort of throw.
Yeah,
wow.
He said that was the night I decided enough was enough.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine went travelling all around the world. He did a sort of gap year thing, but later in life. And in order to better meet other English speakers, but specifically sort of British English speakers, he got a Greg's Bakery baseball cap.
Oh.
And wearing that to these busy raves and concerts would guarantee immediate interaction from any homesick Brits.
Also, a nice cap if you've got very bad dandruff. because there's a suggestion of crumbs.
Although I would put dandruff is getting a bit whatever happened to. You
Yeah.
don't see the dandruff like you used
Well,
to. I
there's
miss dandruff. The philosophy professors, it was everywhere.
There's a lice outbreak at my son's school, if that helps.
Retro.
That'll suffice. Frank, can we return to the seagull scarer, Alex of Mr. Chips,
Yes.
and the gulls themselves, indeed? He's getting £15 an hour, this chap who's scaring seagulls.
Well, you
plus
say
tips.
he's getting £15 an hour, but that's what the boss says. If I may, Monsieur Frites. The boss says he gets £15 an hour, but is it Alex the eagle?
No, Alex is the owner
sorry,
of
Alex
Mr. Chips.
is
His name is
Eddie?
Corey
Oh, I
Greason.
thought it was Eddie, but it isn't. He says that he gets £400 a day.
200.
£200 a day.
But you're nearly 4,000 a month.
Okay, so
What about
£200 a day. Isn't that about 13 hours? If he gets 15 quid an hour, is he working 13-hour days?
No, but he's raking in the tips. I think that's...
How's your maths? No, he said plus tips.
Did he?
Yeah, plus tips. So they can't be every month of the year?
But what's 15 into... How much a day does he get? 200 a day?
He gets 200 a day.
15, isn't that 13?
What is this, countdown?
That would be 10. That would be more than...
He can't be working 13-hour days.
Not in that costume. Trapped in it, wearing it.
13 hours and a sort of 20 minutes.
Also, he's an eagle more often than he's a human.
No, I think Monsieur Frites would let him off with the 20 minutes if he's done a 13-hour day.
Sprinting.
I mean, imagine the wing,
flapping.
the flapping.
It doesn't look well ventilated,
It
that
smelled like
costume.
Columbo by the end of the day.
Well, he could put cold air through it.
Every time he walks in, the eagle has landed. You smell him a mile off, Frank.
I like in one bit of the article it says dressing up like an eagle might seem like a laugh, and I enjoy the conditional term there.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a laugh to me. I mean, to be fair to him, there's footage of him in action, and he does a sort of all that stuff. I don't know if it's actually an eagle sound. But how many eagles do the gulls come into contact with other than him? 8, 12, 15. No, we're not live.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, we're still discussing the eagle, but I'd just like to have a brief pause in the proceedings to share this with you from Philip Bellamy, who says, I've just been told that I've won a small, obscure poetry competition, and I wanted to thank Frank personally, as it was listening to his poetry podcast that inspired me to try and write the poem in the first place.
Fantastic.
Show the winnings, mate.
Well, that's... dry your eyes, mate.
Whatever happened to him, Frank?
Oh, I think he's still around.
What, Streets? Was
Yeah.
he the Streets or
Mike
Streets?
Skinner. I saw an
Was
interview
he
with him.
Mike Streets?
Mike Skinner, he was called.
What was Streets then?
That was his sort. You know, people have about 4 names now.
Do
They have
they?
their real name.
No, I have one.
No, but they have like a sort of a name like Blemish.
Was he Mike?
You know Blemish,
Streets
the
Skinner?
rapper.
Yeah, blemish.
I don't know if there is one called
There's
Blemish.
got to be by now.
That's what it would be. They've all got
But
names
he
like
wasn't
that.
Mike, open brackets, the Streets.
But it's like the name of the group, right? Like a band name.
Okay, don't get
I
so
suppose so.
defensive.
Yeah, Paul Stanley, not Kiss.
No, anyway.
Anyway, come
I
on.
read an interview and he said he's often called Frank Skinner and it gets on his nerves. But I'm often called Streets. No, I'm not. I'm really
Frank
not.
Skinner in the Streets. Right, what we are... we're
By the way, when I was talking to the man who used to work for BA,
Yes.
I was talking about flying to Australia
Obsessed by
once
this man.
with a mate, and I was in Opera, and he was in economy, and I went back to see him, and
Poor David.
Did you hold a perfumed cloth over your face?
I wish I had. Because at the back of the plane, It was honestly like there was dry ice at the back of the plane. And it was where the smokers sat.
I was back in the day.
And we were just having that conversation that, yes, people... It wasn't so much that people smoke, but people on a plane would get out a cigarette lighter or a box of matches and light a naked flame.
It feels.
Why did none of us at any point think, is this a good idea?
Is this safe?
It feels as insane as discovering that there's a fireplace at the back of the plane
Yeah,
where you could just
it
put a
does.
log on and
You
put your
could
feet up.
light a match or a lighter on an aeroplane, and there's an ashtray in the back of the seat.
Right, not just one, hundreds of them.
It's not that. Was it 25 years ago? Or
Well,
something?
I can remember. Can you imagine what this was like? I was on an Alitalia flight.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well, this was Air Malaysia, so there were smokers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In fact, when we got, I remember, to Kuala Lumpur, I was a smoker then, and I said to this guy, "Can you smoke in the first class lounge?" He said, "I think you have to."
When they open the door when you land, it must be like stars in their eyes coming out.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, dear.
So,
Okay, so shall we return to Corey Eagle Greaveson, and Alex, Mr. Chips. Don't know his surname.
Monsieur Frites? We'll come back to it after this, baby, I think.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, Corey, the seagull scarer,
Yes.
he says he has Alex said, Mr. Chips, Monsieur Frites said he has quite a bit of banter with customers. And when they say customers, people in the street,
Yeah.
when they come and speak to him, he makes bird noises at them, and he says, "I don't speak English, I speak Eaglish."
Yeah.
I quite like that.
No,
he's giving it he's making an effort.
He's rocking. I like the idea that he has banter with them. The
Yeah.
idea that he might have been a very sort of serious character hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah, he would hold up a wing and say, "Not while I'm on duty."
Yeah, I tell you something though, he's very upfront about his earnings.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's when I first started
Inland
work.
Revenue going to get in touch with those
Yeah,
tips.
they might
Oh,
do.
yeah.
I mean, you would have thought, wouldn't you?
Coastal revenue.
You would have. Yeah, they got their own, and then there's the offshores.
Yeah.
And steadily, it's like the seven circles of hell in Dante.
Yeah.
No, but when I first got a job, my first job was 1974, even before I saw Kiss for the first time. And I was 17.
What were you doing?
I was working in a drop forgings factory in Langley Green in the West Midlands.
What
and
does that do?
They take very hot pieces of metal and pound them into shape.
I also used to see documentaries about. I think that's quite fascinating.
Yeah, maybe for the first 20 minutes. Anyway, they used to physically bring your wages round on a Thursday. This was a revolution because it was Friday was always a payday. But a woman would come round with a wooden tray, and it would actually have your wage pack in. There'd be coins in it as well as notes, and you'd get your wage slip. So the first time I ever got one, I took the wage slip out and just threw it in the bin. And this bloke went, "Hey!" and come over to me and picked it out the bin and put it in my hand. He said, "Put that away. You don't want people knowing what you're earning."
Oh.
I was on £6.50 a week. I just didn't think that was going to foster resentment from anyone.
And envy is the thief of joy, he said.
Yeah, but it was a really big thing that
yeah.
you did not let other people know what you were earning. But Corey,
Yeah.
he's come out with it in the national press.
To be fair, there isn't another eagle to come and do that to him.
No, well, not that we know, not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
But when they hear what the money's like,
No, there is, because I think Blackpool Zoo were going to employ one.
a real one.
No, No, a real one. One of these ones in the suit. Everyone's doing it now.
Channel 4, I don't know if they still do this, but Channel 4 used to have a man come in with a sparrow hawk once a month to clear out the pigeons.
Yeah.
Really?
It's not the sort of thing you associate with Channel 4, is it's more GB News. But they, I imagine that
They do that to the homeless.
Yeah, I imagine.
A falconer attack them.
I imagine that they feast on raw carcasses as a bonding exercise, is the presenters of GB News. But yeah, Channel 4 was actually
dear.
gone in, and that was a real, not an inflatable sparrowhawk, but the real McCoy.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, we spoke in the last show about people making things at work and if people still made things at work.
Yes, we were talking about, I knew people that used to make razor-sharp kung fu stars on their lathe at work and then sell them in the pub.
Health and safety really wasn't its infancy.
No, I had one, but a dog ran off with it.
Oh.
It was in his back. No, I made that up. I made that up. Go on.
As my mind immediately switched from the charming image of a dog dressed as a ninja to a harrowing.
No. It was in fact, of course, that would be terrible.
We've got a message in from Chaz, alias Charlotte Daly,
Oh, okay.
from Reading, who says, "Hi, Frank and team. Way back in the 1970s, when I was about 10, my dad made me a type of early skateboard, and I like that phrasing. It's quite
Yeah.
archaeological.
Yeah.
So an early skateboard. This consisted of a couple of sawn-off planks of wood, all rough edges and splinters. The wheels were 4-bed casters, so the contraption was completely impossible to steer. It went all over the place. Despite my youthful exuberance and trying it out in a kneeling position, after a few goes on our dodgy paving slab paths in the garden, I decided to retire it. Dad did his best, bless him. Keep up the great work, Chaz."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's there's something lovely about that as well, though.
Yeah.
Unless you're paying his wages.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does sound a bit dangerous. Speaking of dangerous, I saw in that Eagle article we were talking about before, there was one of those things you can click on, and it said "weird job, no qualifications needed," and that was the theme of the Eagle story.
Yeah.
And it was, they're looking for window cleaners to do the gherkin, the enormous building.
Oh,
in
you don't want to get kissed
London.
up there without the harnesses.
Well, they'd just, Paul Stanley just scurry up there like a monkey up a tree.
like the cat.
Yeah, there's a platform thing to stand on. Oh, no. What?
I just need a hoop.
We don't need any of that. We don't want to get bogged down.
Where's
with
the
it.
hoop?
There's one condition. They have asked for a makeup room.
Yeah, exactly. And can everyone who works in the building shout, "Paul!"
When they see a smudge. Paul! Just pointing at a mark left by a bird strike.
Oh dear. You were saying about the Eagles. Oh no, you weren't.
No,
you were
I
just
wasn't.
Talking
I
about
was
that
just-
job.
Yes.
Yeah, weird job, no qualifications needed. It's just a sort of...
I had something I
just a picture of some
quickly.
stand-ups. Just a picture of us.
Exactly. I wouldn't knock anyone for having a weird job with
Yes.
no qualifications.
You were
needed.
feeling seen when you saw that link.
Indeed.
Can I just say something? I will. One thing that Corey Grieveson, aka the Eagle, said
Yes.
was he said he thinks that the seagulls are trying to get revenge on him by pooping. Is that okay? On his car. But I think you might know this, Pierre, sort of thing you'd know. As I understand it, the only birds to genuinely have a sense of, to have the sort of vengeance gene are crows.
Is that
They
right?
will remember you, Frank. They don't forget.
They remember
Cool.
faces.
They
though.
remember
Surely you
human...
don't get mixed up with elephants.
If an elephant took revenge by doing that on your car,
That
you'd-
would be.
They can
You'd know
hold a
about it.
grudge for 15 years, a crow.
Wow.
Gosh.
What
Does that sound like any of us?
a cat is a crow? I find out after all these years. Of course, when I read that story about him pooping on his car, I immediately thought of Tobit from the Old Testament, who fell asleep in the garden and didn't realise there were birds, and they pooped in his eye, and he was blind for 4 years. Try the Bible. It's great stuff.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Well, we've been hearing from our loyal, esteemed readers.
Regarding Michael Morpurgo.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
You're quite Frank's a fan of his. You invented a song about him.
Yes, well...
Remember that, Frank?
Are you referring to... Michael Morpurgo, Michael Morpurgo.
yes.
Michael Morpurgo, Michael Morpurgo.
Wearing a Panama hat.
Yes.
On a good day.
Always the man from Del Monte.
He loves a Panama.
Claire gets in touch regarding that very aural meme
Yeah, okay.
and says, Dear Frank, Pierre, Divine Miss M, I recently had the opportunity to meet that other national treasure, Michael Morpurgo, only to be distracted by Frank's Michael Morpurgo song.
Oh, okay. I can see why that would be in your head.
Yeah, sort of creating a slightly glazed look in the eyes as you think, don't sing it at him.
I think he'd be all right to hear it, wouldn't he?
Surely. He's got a nice reputation, doesn't
He's a
he?
nice man.
Have you met? You've met Morpurgo.
I interviewed Morp. In fact, we danced the Zorba the Greek.
Whoa!
We
I
danced
did not know about that.
In the pale moonlight.
I danced with a man who danced.
We danced the Zorba the Greek. You know the Zorba the Greek?
Yes, I know the song. I just didn't know that you'd had some strange dance with Michael Morpurgo.
Yeah, me and...
Just the two of you.
Eminem, as I like to call him.
Can I ask a question? What shoes does Michael Morpurgo wear?
Well, the first time I saw Michael Morpurgo, he was dressed completely in purple,
Oh, I see that.
which was unsettling because I think he'd picked purple randomly, but it used to be the colour of various... David Icke, I think, was a purple wearer.
The purple made him immune to the alien rays or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Morpurgo's branched out into various... He's a man who likes corduroy and that
I
kind
see
of
him in a
thing.
deck shoe.
Yeah,
Quite
maybe.
a battered one on the Norfolk Broads.
Yeah, well, he's got that kind of writer. I haven't met two. I'm not a dandy. I'm a man who sits in a room on his own writing.
Yeah.
He's got that thing.
Yeah.
But I have a problem with this, as I've spoken to Emily about before, certainly, is when I'm in the company of people associated with any kind of music, it keeps coming out of me.
It's awful. Remember that night, Frank? You know who I'm thinking of. We're both thinking the same one. I think you're in the Ivy having dinner. Do you remember it?
I remember the Eric Clapton one.
Yes. Do you know this, Pierre?
No.
I was having I was having lunch with Eric Clapton, and I went to the toilet, and when I came back, I hadn't thought I was going diddle 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 diddle, and he said, "Don't do it, don't do that." But I didn't know I was doing it. But it's clean out. There's just an enormous aide de memoire sitting at the table. It was he was all right with it ish. But obviously, if people start looking round and there's me singing that riff to him, it's a bit of a...
And he's there stony-faced.
Yeah, he wasn't, yeah.
Would it be worse for him to be stony-faced or sort of giggling and clapping, sort of delighted?
Well, I think it's nice that people... it's nice that I know
Well, you don't
that.
want him to start screaming, "You've got me on my knees," and getting all into character.
No, I don't want him screaming that. It wasn't that... Yeah, that's
It wasn't
more...
that kind of a party.
No, it was in a restaurant, but it wasn't the one with the Boris Becker. No, so...
Oh, dear.
Yes, I was. It's like a woman came up to me at the Kiss gig and pointed at Buzzy's feet and says, "Where's his Kiss shoes?" Because I talked about him on the show. Do you remember?
right.
And I think that's great that
That's a nice
woman
reference.
knows that he's got Kiss shoes. The problem was I was supposed to bring them when I picked him up from school, and I forgot. So it was a bit of a sore point, but we got over it. 45 quid T-shirt, that's all it needs to calm an 11-year-old. Anyway, read Tobit and see what you think. And thanks for listening this morning.
Read Tobit.
Read Tobit. I'm going to get a T-shirt with that on. Cheaper. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Get Out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.